Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Well, today I'm starting a new series called Homeschool FAQs, Frequently Asked Questions, because yes, I do get asked a lot of questions, and in fact, I actually requested questions from people on Instagram last week to give me ideas for this. So what I'm going to be talking to you about today is this question. Do homeschoolers ever get tired of being home all the time? So last week you might have noticed that my channel was pretty quiet. The last video that I made was actually a week ago, and in that video I was pretty sick. I had a temperature of like 101 and I was like sweating and I had a headache, but I pushed through it only to go to the emergency room the next morning and find out that I had pneumonia. Which is why I didn't make any videos after that, because I thought that pushing myself would probably not be a good idea, and I really did just want to get over being sick. So as I was just sitting and not being able to make any videos, also because I was coughing way too much, I just started pondering what a new series could be for my channel. And I started thinking about all of the new homeschoolers that are starting their very first year of homeschooling this year. Or even if it's not their first year, maybe somebody who is still relatively new to homeschooling. And there are always so many questions that people have about it. So I thought that instead of making one video where I answer a bunch of homeschooling questions, I would actually start a homeschool FAQ series so that if I put it on a playlist, people who are actually looking for this one specific question can find that one question on my playlist, or just search it on YouTube or whatever. And it might be easier than just watching an entire, 20 to 30 minute video trying to see if your question is going to be addressed. So that is really what I'm going to be doing. And today the topic that I thought that would be fun to start with would be, do homeschoolers ever get tired of being home all the time? And if you've homeschooled for any length of time, chances are you have heard that question in one form or another. I've already had people say to me, don't you ever get tired of being home? Or do your kids ever complain because they're always in the house? And it usually falls along that line. The thing is, though, is that most homeschoolers are not home all the time. Most homeschoolers are out and about almost every single day doing different activities. And I think this is a really common misconception. People think that since traditional school students spend 6 to 8 hours a day in a school building, they automatically assume that homeschooled students are spending 6 to 8 hours a day, or even more since they live there, doing their homeschool lessons and just kind of sitting there like this at their desk in their bedroom all day long. And you know what? As I mentioned, that's just not how most homeschoolers do it. Even for those homeschoolers who have adopted a school at home style for their homeschools, chances are their kids are not spending as much time on their lessons as kids in school do. And chances are very good that these students are still out there tailing, is that the word I'm looking for? Just following their parents as their parents are out running errands and just doing the things of daily life. Because the fact is that homeschooling is about education. It is not about schooling. They are two different things. I've addressed that before, and I'm actually going to be doing a video on just that subject later on this week. But learning can happen anywhere. So homeschoolers are not sitting in their house at a table doing their lessons all day long and just kind of looking out the window at the outside world. They are out there in the outside world. Very often they are doing their lessons outside, or they could be at the creek, they're at the store with their parents, they're at the bank with their parents, they're at homeschool groups with their friends, they're out at the playground. And the fact is that homeschooled students get a much better idea of what the real world and the community are actually like, because they're not in their house all day long. And honestly, truth be told, the students who are kind of trapped inside all day long are those traditional school students. I know in our school district, students don't even get recess. Elementary school kids at the school up the street from my house, they're lucky if they get to go outside for 15 minutes, maybe once a month, when their teacher has to request the little playground for their class. That's it. So those are the students that are inside, stuck inside a box all day long, kind of just looking out the window that people think homeschoolers are doing, trying to wonder about the things that are happening in the real world in everyday life. So that is just one question. It's the first question that I decided to tackle because, yeah, you do hear it so much. And it's funny because if the tables were turned, no one would ever say to, a public school student, don't you ever get tired of being in a building 7 hours a day? I mean, yeah, as a homeschooler, I've thought that already, but I would never say that to a public school student. But to be honest, that is really the case. That's what's happening. Homeschool students, they're not in their house every day, all day. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram, because YouTube is fickle and I never know if I'm going to have comments or not. They're probably going to be disabled, so you can just leave a comment on Instagram. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave that link in the description box as well. And I also want to add that I'm not going to be doing this series consecutively. I will probably be doing homeschool FAQs videos maybe once or twice a week, just to tackle some questions that I get about homeschooling. And like I mentioned earlier, I will put them on a playlist and make them easy for you to find. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today, and I already said that. I hope you have a great night.